DaVinci Resolve replaces Adobe Premiere Pro and 3 other apps with it. Adobe Premiere Pro costs $22.99 a month if you commit to a year, or $34.49 a month if you don't. You're not buying it, you're renting it. Cancel, and you lose access to the software entirely. Over 5 years, that's more than $1,300, and you own nothing at the end of it. DaVinci Resolve has a completely free version that covers nearly everything a beginner or intermediate editor needs. No watermark, no trial countdown, no paywall hiding behind the color grading tools, the audio mixer, or the visual effects engine. If you eventually want the full unlock, 8K editing, AI-powered noise reduction, advanced motion tracking, that's DaVinci Resolve Studio, and it costs $295 once, not per year, once, forever, with every future update included. Here's the detail almost nobody mentions. DaVinci Resolve isn't just a Premiere alternative. It replaces 3 separate Adobe apps in one free download. The color grading tools replace what you'd otherwise need Premiere's Lumetri panel plus a dedicated colorist tool for. Fusion, built directly into Resolve, replaces After Effects for visual effects and motion graphics. Fairlight, also built in, replaces Audition for audio mixing and cleanup. 3 subscriptions, 1 free download. And this isn't a good enough for beginners claim. Resolve's color tools are the industry standard regardless of what software shot the footage. Most professional color grading, including HDR mastering for Netflix originals, happens in Resolve, even when the editing itself was done somewhere else. Editors cut in Premiere, then send the footage to Resolve for color, because Resolve's color engine is considered the best available, free or paid. The honest limitation, Resolve's interface is harder to learn than Premiere's. It uses a node-based system for effects instead of the layer stack most editors are used to. And that takes adjustment. And if you're already paying for the full Adobe Creative Cloud bundle, Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects together, the bundle pricing covers all of those apps for roughly the same overall cost as Premiere alone, which changes the math if you need that whole ecosystem rather than just video editing. For everyone else, this is the single biggest gap on this list between what you're paying and what you're getting. LibreOffice replaces Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 Personal runs about $100 a year. Most people use 3 apps inside it and pay for the whole bundle anyway. Word, Excel, and maybe PowerPoint, while the rest of the subscription goes unused. LibreOffice is free, with no subscription, no account requirement, and no recurring cost of any kind. You download it once, and every feature is unlocked from the start. It includes 6 applications: Writer, Calc, Impress, Draw, Math, and Base, covering what Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Access do across Microsoft's lineup. It opens and saves .docx, .xlsx, and .pptx files natively, so a file someone sends you from Microsoft Office opens correctly, and a file you send back opens correctly on their end too. This matters more than it sounds. A lot of free Office suites historically struggled with formatting fidelity when round-tripping Microsoft file formats. Table shifting, font substituting, slide layouts breaking. LibreOffice's compatibility has improved enough that for most everyday documents, the difference is not something the recipient notices. Here's the part of this comparison almost nobody brings up. Microsoft Office collects telemetry data, usage information sent back to Microsoft about how you interact with the software, what features you use, how often you open it. LibreOffice collects nothing because there's no company on the other end with a commercial reason to. If privacy matters to you specifically, this is the only entry on this entire list where the free option has a privacy advantage built into its design, not just its price tag. Where LibreOffice genuinely loses, there's no built-in AI assistant. Microsoft has bundled Copilot into its personal and family plans since 2025, and LibreOffice has nothing official to match it. Some community extensions are in early development, but nothing finished or reliable yet. Real-time co-editing also works more smoothly in Microsoft 365. If your team lives inside shared documents edited simultaneously by multiple people at once, that's the one place this trade genuinely costs you something. The honest verdict: if you actually use the cloud sync and the AI features regularly, Microsoft 365 is worth the subscription. If you mostly write documents, build spreadsheets, and make presentations without needing any of that, LibreOffice does the same job for nothing and has been doing it for 2 decades. GIMP replaces Photoshop. GIMP is free and open source. Photoshop requires an ongoing Creative Cloud subscription, currently around $20.99 a month on its own, or bundled into the full Creative Cloud suite at a higher monthly rate, and now leans heavily on AI editing tools as its main selling point in recent updates. GIMP is not a stripped-down toy. It has layers with blend modes, advanced selection tools, customizable brushes, gradient mapping, full-channel editing, and path tools for precise vector-style selections. For retouching, compositing, and general graphic design, it covers the overwhelming majority of what a casual or even semi-professional user needs day-to-day. Cropping and adjusting photos, building social media graphics, removing backgrounds, combining multiple images into one composition. The gaps are specific and worth naming honestly, rather than glossing over. GIMP doesn't have anything resembling Photoshop's generative fill or AI-powered content-aware expansion, where you can extend an image beyond its original borders and have the software invent believable new content. It also has no native CMYK color support, which matters specifically if you're preparing files for commercial printing, where CMYK is the standard color model and RGB files can print with noticeably different colors than expected. Non-destructive editing, keeping your original image data fully intact while layering reversible adjustments on top of it, isn't the default workflow in GIMP the way it is in Photoshop, which means file management takes more discipline if you want to preserve the ability to undo changes weeks later without starting over. For everyday editing, the gap only opens up around AI generation tools and print-specific color workflows. For everything else, the work most people are actually doing, the two programs are doing the same job, one of them for free. Blender replaces an entire category of paid 3D software. This is the category where the cost gap is the most absurd, because professional 3D rendering software doesn't sell one app. It sells an ecosystem of separately priced pieces that all add up before you've finished a single project. Redshift, the renderer most closely tied to Cinema 4D, costs $289 a year on its own, or comes bundled into Maxon 1 at $1,449 a year, which also includes ZBrush for sculpting and Red Giant for effects. V-Ray, one of the most widely used professional renderers in the industry across architecture, film, and product visualization, costs $540 a year for its solo tier, or roughly $89 a month. These figures are for renderers, just the rendering engine, before you've even paid for the modeling and animation software the renderer plugs into. Blender is fully open source, with no licensing fee and no restriction on commercial use, and it includes modeling, sculpting, texturing, animation, and rendering all inside one application. No separate renderer purchase, no bundle tier, no per-seat license for a studio. One download covers the entire pipeline from a blank scene to a finished render. This isn't hobbyist software pretending to be professional. Blender is used in real studio production pipelines, on real commercial projects, by teams who could afford the paid alternatives and chose Blender anyway. It has been used in feature animation, advertising work, and architectural visualization studios worldwide. The honest limitation: the learning curve is steep, particularly if you've never worked in 3D before. And it's not the fastest tool to reach for if you just need a simple title animation for a video intro. For anything beyond that, the gap between what Blender does and what a $1,449 a year suite does is much smaller than the price difference suggests, and for many independent creators, it is closed entirely. OBS replaces Streamlabs Ultra. Streamlabs Ultra costs $27 a month for its premium tier. Streaming features layered on top of the base experience. OBS Studio is completely free and open source. Here's the detail that changes how you see Streamlabs entirely. Streamlabs itself is built on top of OBS's open source code. The professional recording and streaming engine underneath both products is the same technology. What you're paying $27 a month for with Streamlabs Ultra is convenience. Themed overlays, alert templates, cloud backup of your settings, layered on top of an engine that OBS gives away for free, with more manual setup required to get the same result. If you're willing to configure scenes and sources yourself instead of clicking a pre-made template, you get the identical underlying streaming and recording technology for nothing. Audacity replaces Adobe Audition. Audacity supports multi-track recording and editing, noise reduction, equalization, compression, normalization, reverb, and a wide range of built-in effects, with support for VST and LADSPA plugins for more advanced processing beyond what ships natively. This isn't a beginner-only tool either. Audacity is used in higher education for podcast production courses, oral history archiving projects, music theory and production classes, and media production programs at the university level. Institutions that have institutional licenses available for paid alternatives and choose Audacity anyway because it does the job without a per-seat cost. The honest gap: real-time effects monitoring is limited, meaning you generally apply an effect and listen back rather than hearing it live as you adjust settings. There's no MIDI support, so anyone working with virtual instruments or MIDI controllers needs a different tool entirely. The multi-track workflow is less sophisticated than a dedicated digital audio workstation built for complex multi-track music production. And spectral editing, visually identifying and surgically removing specific frequencies like a cough, a click, or a hum buried in a recording, is less refined in Audacity than what Adobe Audition offers with its dedicated spectral frequency display. For podcast editing, voiceover cleanup, and basic music editing, which covers what most casual and semi-professional creators are actually doing with an audio editor on a weekly basis, none of those gaps get in the way of finishing a usable, clean recording. Obsidian, the one most people have never heard of. Most people use Notion, Evernote, or a similar note-taking app daily without knowing this alternative exists, despite it solving the exact same problem. Obsidian is free for personal use, and it stores your notes as plain markdown files directly on your own device. Not locked inside a company's server, not accessible only through their specific app, not dependent on an internet connection to open a file you wrote last year. If the company behind Obsidian disappeared tomorrow, your notes would still open in any plain text editor on any computer, because they're just files sitting on your hard drive, written in a format that predates the company itself. Most note-taking competitors are subscription-based and cloud-locked by design. Your notes only exist as long as you keep paying and keep using their specific app to access them. Obsidian's core product has stayed free because the business model is built around optional paid add-ons for sync across devices and publishing notes as a website, not gating the actual note-taking functionality behind a paywall the way most competitors do. The pattern across all of it: every free alternative in this video is either fully open source, LibreOffice, GIMP, Blender, Audacity, OBS, or freemium with a genuinely complete free tier rather than a crippled trial designed to expire. DaVinci Resolve, Obsidian. None of them are bait-and-switch products where the free version stops working after 30 days or locks essential features behind a paywall the moment you try to export your work. Add up what someone would pay for the equivalent combination of Microsoft and Adobe products covered in this video. Microsoft 365, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, a 3D rendering suite, Streamlabs Ultra, and Audition. And the range lands somewhere between $800 and $1,500 or more per year, depending on which specific apps someone is actually paying for. This isn't a claim that free software always matches paid software in every category. Several of these have real specific gaps, and they're worth being honest about rather than glossing over for the sake of a cleaner narrative. AI generation tools, CMYK printing support, real-time collaborative editing, spectral audio repair. But for the majority of people paying for software every month and using a small fraction of what's actually inside it, the free version isn't a downgrade. It's the same job, done for nothing, by software that in several of these cases is already running underneath the product you're paying for. A lot of what people believe about their tech, including which software is better just because it costs more, turns out to be wrong once you check it. Every tech myth explained is on screen right now.